What is up, everybody in E2C Network land? I'm back, as usual, right? Here on another live stream. War Eagle to you, and welcome to a new little experiment we're going to be doing. Not so formal with this at this moment, because this is the first ever attempt that we're doing at something like this, where we try to record a podcast live with you all watching. What a crazy concept. That guy over there, well, this side, technically, that's right. The mirroring always throws me off. You guys know this one right here. You know him, you love him, Mr. Austin Scott. He's been here before. Welcome, Austin.
Thanks. Yeah, it feels like it's been a long time, but I guess probably we did a couple basketball talks. We used to grade a lot during football season, and here we are right around the corner again. So
we are.
It's coming quick.
We are. So I'm going to go ahead and say this for me and Austin's benefit, because we've got a system and an order we're going to do here. We're going to give about 5 minutes intro to start this thing off tonight, and then we're actually going to go into this recording. So let me give you a little bit of an example of what's going to go on here. Our plan is to do a weekly podcast where we let you guys, especially on YouTube, watch it be recorded live. So you'll hear us counting it down, start the show, intro, all that stuff, end it, and all that thing. And you guys can watch, comment with each other during the show. During that show, we're probably not going to be taking a lot of comments or questions from the chat, just because we want to be focused on what we're discussing. But it's going to be a podcast. It's obviously visual here, but it's also audio as well. You can find it on our regular podcast app. And the intention for this is to be the kind of home base for the E2C network in terms of podcast and YouTube and social media and bridging the gap, having like a home base of sorts, because that's what we're all about here, is the Auburn Experience. So I will go ahead and forewarn a lot of you in the chat, if you're wanting more coverage about TJ Finley, quarterback, you're probably not going to get a lot of that tonight. We probably will mention it just because it's part of the Auburn Experience, right? And that's what this is about. I did a hour and 15-minute live stream where I even got into it with someone earlier today. So you can go check that out if you want some hardcore stuff on that. Austin somehow was convinced to come and do this with me. I don't know why you chose to do that.
Thanks, Corey. Yeah, it's hard to believe it's been a year. But yeah, like Kyle said, this is going to be a lot of fun talking about the whole Auburn experience and what all is going on, not just in athletics, but the campus and city as a whole. I am fortunate enough to live in this great place and try to convince Kyle to get down here sooner every day. And so we'll get to talk about a whole lot from a resident's view too, I guess.
So you'll probably hear us kind of go through that spiel somewhat again, because that's what's going to happen. The general idea is we're going to have about like 3 10-minute-ish segments, so like a 30-minute show where we just cover anything. Obviously, there's going to be some sports talking and stuff like that, but we're going to talk about anything, like even if it's something we can like bounce off of from, different Auburn sports related topics. It's just the entirety of the Auburn Experience. Kyle throwing salt in the wounds this afternoon. I don't know if I threw salt in the wounds. I just got real with some people that needed some realism. My cousins were watching that live, and they have sent me a clip of my finest moment in that. it was quite interesting here. All right, so we're about 2 minutes away from us counting this thing down and officially starting the recording. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is bring up this. Where did it go? See, this is the great thing about you guys watching these live. You get to see me kind of struggle through things, not be prepared for things. That's the joy of this. So however you like. Same thing applies here. If you normal live stream, smash the like button. You can post your check-in, where you're from, all that stuff, War Eagle. And Corey, especially, I'm going to count on a lot of you guys if you'll remind people that, we're not taking questions and comments necessarily from the chat. You can be kind of an honorary moderator of sorts. You didn't think I was going to put that responsibility on you tonight, but that's how it's going to go. Austin, before we kind of get this thing going here, you got anything you want to share with the people, since we're kind of being candid and open before recording the podcast?
Yeah, just seeing a lot of familiar names and faces or pictures, I guess, in there, and really happy to be back talking with the fans of the E2C Network and fellow Auburn family members. I know a lot of people are excited, so hopefully this will
Absolutely.
add to some of that excitement of a lot of people
Absolutely.
returning back to campus.
Absolutely. So, like I said, that's little tickers down there at the bottom. We will most likely not be addressing you guys during the show, but we might. You never know. It's just kind of the habit. I don't know if I should mention this, Austin. Probably shouldn't, but I'm going to anyway because why not? We kind of always thought of this idea as the Rick and Bubba show of Auburn podcasting. If you guys know what the Rick and Bubba show is, then you'll understand that kind of thing. We're just here to have fun and have a little candid conversation about being part of the Auburn family is all this really amounts to. So, Austin, are you ready?
Hey, let's get it going.
We are going to do it. So we're going to count it down from here. We'll talk to you guys at the end of the recording. Definitely, I'll hang around to take comments and questions and things like that. But we're going to go ahead and get this thing started right now. Thank y'all for joining us on the inaugural The Auburn Experience. 3, 2, 1. David Housel said it best: the whole of the Auburn experience. It is something that encompasses sports, obviously Auburn football as a part of that. It's also something that encompasses the university, its alumni, but also its family members that never graduated as well. It encompasses a little town in central Alabama, but it also encompasses small towns in the United Kingdom and many other far places. The Auburn experience is made up by who we are and what we experience within that experience. That was a terrible way to say that, but I'm going to do it anyway. This is the Auburn Experience, episode 1, the inaugural podcast, which is hopefully going to become the regular banner show of the E2C Network. I am your host, Kyle Loomis, longtime owner, operator, founder of the E2C Network. And I'm happy to be doing yet another project that I've given myself the opportunity to do, opportunity or the curse to do. But here I am again. I obviously love it, or else I would not be doing this. But the Auburn experience is always best spent with people, the Auburn people. And I brought one of my favorite people alongside me that I've gotten to know through the history of the E2C Network as Mr. Austin Scott. Austin, War Eagle, welcome to the Auburn experience.
War Eagle, Kyle, you finally got me on one of these audio, if you're listening audio only, podcast talking with you. And here I am. We're trying something new out, and I think you opened it really well. We'll see how this goes, but I love talking about the whole Auburn experience. You and I both do. So might as well record it, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Why not? I mean, what could go wrong possibly? And the great thing about this is, we're doing this several different ways. So what we're going to do right here in this first segment is kind of give you what to expect, or at least what we think you should expect out of this, right? Because frankly, this could all change. This could not work. Just to kind of pull the curtain back. I don't know. I'm just here to have fun talking with Austin about all things Auburn. So what our goal is with this is about a 30-minute show-ish with 10-minute-ish segments where we're going to cover a particular topic. We did kind of discuss that, but the nature of what we want this show to be about is just having fun, kind of loose and free, not necessarily a formal makeup of that, and just kind of bounce around wherever we want to discuss within the whole Auburn family spectrum, sports, otherwise. And we've got some ideas for things that we want to talk about tonight. Our plan as of tonight is to discuss, after we kind of go through our normal little intro part here, is to have a segment about the Auburn Fan Day experience, the open practice that was going on. All that's kind of encompassed with this weekend. We'll probably talk about that news that broke today about a certain quarterback. It's just because we have to, I feel like. I mean, I feel like there's people screaming on the podcast side of things that maybe don't follow on YouTube. We're like, oh my gosh, how are they not talking about this? Maybe we'll do that. We'll talk a little bit about a cool experience that you can have in Auburn. A nice little eatery joint over there that I'm excited to go check out. And I'm going to be honest with you, I'm kind of shocked that I didn't make my way over there this weekend. So
no kidding.
I've lost. I will hand in my Auburn card to you, Austin, virtually for just a minute. So let's start out with this and kind of trying to define what this is going to be, what it's going to be about. When I say the Auburn experience, what does that mean to you, Austin?
Oh man, what a loaded question.
I know, right?
It's the Auburn experience has been something different for every person. I think that's something beautiful about it. For some, it starts really young when they're kind of born into it. That's how it started for me, growing up and attending Auburn football games, but also just making regular trips down to campus with my dad. Um, but for others, it starts when they chose Auburn for college and they chose to go there for school. And, they chose it for a myriad of other reasons, but now they've become embraced into this Auburn family and it becomes to mean more and more with them each year. And for others, chose not to go to college at Auburn or couldn't, but it's a sense of family for them, and it's a team that they are attracted to, or a school they're attracted to with different beliefs. And so there's so many ways you can describe the Auburn experience, and I think it'd be naive of us to say we're gonna be able to encompass the whole thing, through different 30-minute episodes. But it's something that when you experience Auburn, it's hard not to talk about. And so now we're going to get to talk about it for a while.
It really is. And I've always known what I mean by the Auburn experience, but I have a hard time explaining that for you. For those of you that are following the E2C Network for a long time, you'll know that we do a podcast series that is coming back. I promise you it is. Just give me time. I've got a lot going on, if you can't tell. I've done a live stream today, a podcast today. Oh, I just here. This is how much we're going to pull the curtain back for you guys on this show. I literally just had the No Huddle guys send me their audio for their podcast, our Auburn football podcast, specific to AJ and Jared. So there you go, AJ and Jared. Just live, we told them when you sent that in. Really late for me. No kidding. I remember on that podcast, Auburn, Jeremy Henderson of the War Eagle Reader. Great guy, great person. We want to talk about like really encompassing the Auburn experience and trying to capture what it means to be a part of the Auburn family. That guy goes to places I didn't think you could go. Like, there's a whole article about this great streaking on campus thing of like the 70s or something like that. I even talked to someone else in that series that was not a part of it, but witnessed it happening, because they were told that if they did that, their parents would not pay for the rest of their college. So when I say that to say about the Jeremy Henderson thing, he and I spent basically an hour and a half trying to define what it means to be a part of the Auburn family, and we couldn't do it. Like, we know what it means. You know what it means to you.
That's right.
And I think we all kind of understand what it means to be part of the Auburn family intrinsically. We just can't put it into words yet amongst each other. Sports, obviously, Austin, that's a big part.
Sure. Yeah, I think you put it very well, and it's something that many have said before can't be defined, but once you're inside, but to outside, it's hard to really grasp. And sports is a big way that's
the gateway drug
played out. Yes, great way to put that. But as we're going to get into, there's different parts of it too that are. Auburn University is the center of this little town in Auburn, Alabama. That is definitely tied into and definitely adds into the whole of the Auburn experience. So there's a variety of aspects to it that we're going to get into, and that's the good thing about this. Hopefully, that we'll get to. We're never going to run out of things to talk about with this.
Yeah,
because it's always changing and always evolving.
And I think that's kind of when we envisioned this. That's what we wanted, is something that it's going to frustrate some of you sometimes, right? Why are you not talking about the football thing more? And trust me, there's plenty of that on this YouTube channel, on the podcast feed, on our social media. We got you covered. Yep. Trust me. We're not avoiding the topic. It's just we're trying to take a more holistic, intrinsic. I'm trying to use big words to make myself sound smart because I've been doing this for 8 years, and I feel like maybe
you're
that'll
doing okay so far.
Yeah, so far. Just give me like 2 more minutes, and I'll stumble over something really, really poorly and make myself look like an incompetent fool. I have a zoology degree, by the way, so this isn't my natural.
There you go. That's a big
thing
word.
thing that I do. Zoology is a big word. It's not zoology; it's zoology. Did you know that you cannot find the zoology? They don't have that program anymore at Auburn.
I have wondered that before, because I knew that's what you studied in, but I was like, I've never heard of anyone else doing that.
There were 4 tracks at Auburn. and I took obviously one of the tracks on under zoology, and we can get into more of that in another episode about maybe different, how we took the route we took, because we're both graduates. Some of us did more lucrative careers than other. Austin.
I don't know about
that. Well, when you see a zookeeper salary, you can talk to me about. I shouldn't even say salary. I should say rent, maybe.
Rent.
Yes, then we can talk and compare notes on that. So that's the basic gist of what we envision this, kind of giving you a perspective of what to expect. 30-minute shows, about 10-ish minute segments where we'll hit some particular topics. That first segment usually kind of be like a bounce around, unless there's just tons we got to hit on a particular episode. And then at the that's how we'll kind of wrap this thing up. And whether you're watching on YouTube for this or you're listening to the audio recording on the podcast, we appreciate you being a part of this segment. Let's move into segment 2, Austin. I think we got to talk sports, and we can talk about this particular weekend with Auburn football. Again, I think people will scream if we don't let you at least acknowledge I was going to say the elephant in the room, but that feels sacrilegious on an Auburn podcast.
Oh yeah, probably not. Probably not.
The Finley in the room and the response with which that happened. So what I thought we would hit is obviously this open practice week, and I want to share a lot of my experiences from that with the fan day and that kind of thing. But we'd be remiss if we didn't give Austin an opportunity just to kind of maybe what was the cap for opening week 0 fan day weekend, open practice weekend. You dare even mention the name TJ Finley right now, Austin?
Well, I think a lot of people, hopefully, if they've been paying attention a little bit, saw this coming over the last couple of weeks. It just feels like the more reporting's gone out, or the more buzz around the quarterback competition has been that TJ has the grasp of the offense, and Brian Harsin likes the way he's kind of commanding the troops. Mm-hmm. And so he officially was named quarterback 1 today for the game against Mercer next week. So let
me ask you a question on that note, because I've been wondering this. Do you think it was supposed to happen today, or it was leaked and it kind of got out and it had to be handled? What do you think?
I think it was going to happen tomorrow. I think
so
his first game week pressers tomorrow. Mm-hmm. And I think that's probably when, in an ideal world, he would have liked to do that. Obviously that didn't happen. I think ESPN broke it first or earlier today. So
that pesky ESPN.
Pesky ESPN, pesky worldwide leader. Anyway, the worldwide leader. Well, I'm not going to get into that.
I was about to say, don't go down that.
No. Not the rabbit hole we want. But yeah, so I can understand people's frustration. I think, when you bring in 2 transfers, because that, that might show you didn't think what you had was good enough. And then those 2 don't end up being quote unquote good enough. I can see the frustration in that. But, as Kyle and I have said many times on other streams, you and I and anyone else listening is not at practice every day. And I have to trust the coaching staff at least sees what they want to accomplish is through who they pick. It is their jobs on the line, quite literally. And so while I'm not surprised, I think this is the route they're going to go with. And for as much as I love Auburn and might not agree with it and might not think it's going to turn out well, I really hope it does. And I really hope TJ, has that. A lot of people have been talking about Jason Campbell's senior year, and I really hope he turns that corner. And because if he does, it's going to be a really great year for Auburn.
Not to bring the pessimism in the room, I was making that same comparison for Bo last year, and yeah, of course, that really wasn't his fault at the end of it with his injury. But hey, sometimes you end up in your 4th year winning a SEC championship at Auburn. Sometimes you end up at the Oregon Ducks. I don't know how that works, but
that's a T-shirt I'd buy.
That's a T-shirt I'd buy. Hey, listen, Oregon Ducks got plenty of T-shirts you can buy, but Bo is not wanting for gear at this point. Like, he has got himself covered up in Nike in just awful. My little pull the curtain back for myself. I'm a fan of the color yellow. It's my favorite color. I hate it on the Oregon Duck stuff.
I didn't know that. Yellow.
It's weird. Like I tell people my favorite color is yellow, and they're like, "You're telling me it's not orange and blue?" And I'm like, "I know, shocker, right? My entire life doesn't revolve around the orange and blue as much as it may seem like it." I mean, you can look behind.
I would have
me.
never guessed yellow though, even if it wasn't orange and blue.
Well, what would you have guessed?
I don't know. I feel like green is common after some blues. I don't feel like I hear
Now you're
yellow
making me a
very
Florida
often.
Gator, and I'm offended.
Green is Oregon too.
I'd rather be an Oregon Duck than Florida Gator.
Well, obviously, yeah.
I mean,
But no, Bo is not lacking in. He probably walked in and like Nike just like threw up on his apartment.
All right,
he's probably yeah.
More on the topic that we actually wanted to hit, but I wanted to give him a chance to talk about that. So I attended the open practice day / I call it Auburn Fan Day. Now they give it some really ridiculous long title. I think it's the Auburn Football Preseason Kickoff Fan Day, I think is what it's called.
Know that. I would have never known.
Just call it Golden Flake Day. I mean, because that's really what it is. I mean, Auburn and Golden Flake. That's all you need to know. And I'm not disparaging Golden Flake in any way. Them barbecue Golden Flake chips, sign me up every day and twice on Sunday. You know what? I failed to get one of the bags there at the Fan Day Experience.
Are you talking about the sweet heat or just barbecue?
Both. Is there something wrong with both?
The sweet heat? No. I just feel like you can't find the sweet heat as commonly.
That's fair.
But I really like the sweet heat.
I like most barbecue chips regardless of that.
Yeah.
So anyway, the Fan Experience hosted by Golden Flake, it was the exact same as last year. You got the same. I think Auburn stores these inflatables like in a closet somewhere there in the Melton Student Center. Like they just drag them out for every event. For the kids the kids love the heck out of it. Only one of them actually looks like an Auburn thing. It's got like an Aubie head on it, I think, if I remember correctly. The Raptor Center was supposed to be there, and it wasn't. I was so upset as a zoology guy, as a bird guy. I love my Raptors. I was so sad.
No appearances at all whatsoever.
Not unless they arrived before I got there, which they started let me tell you about this. So I try to always be there for these so I can share you guys the live streams for the pep rally, essentially, where the cheerleaders, Tiger Paws, some of the band show up and do that. I literally pull up into the parking deck there between Plainsman and Jordan-Hare, and all I hear is duh. And I'm like, are you kidding me? Y'all were supposed to start 15 minutes from now. And so I'm running with like my little tripod trying to get out there so I can live stream some of it. So that's what my world was like. Now, did you go to the Fan Day and open practice last week or last year? Excuse me.
Last year, yes. This year, no. But I was interested to see what it was going to be like last year, and because it kind of felt like the first time.
Yeah.
They've ever done something like this, and it felt like Brian Harsin was coming in trying to show people his thing. But from what I gathered, it sounded like it was very similar.
Very similar. Like the Fan Day experiences I already talked about, minus a few missing things, like was the exact same. The practice this time, if I remember correctly, and correct me if I'm wrong, Austin, I remember them going through actually coming out of the tunnel, how they were going to do that, practicing the entrance and exactly where they were supposed to run to. Do you remember that exactly?
Yes. Yeah. It was simulating kind of what was going to happen the next week.
That was non-existent this time. It was just, it was almost like just a regular game. They kind of mold out. Here comes Anders. Here comes Evan McPherson. Here comes Evan, special teams, running with Reed. We've all seen that segment, the running with Reed segment, the long snapper, which is hilarious. And we saw him running around doing his next little segment. So I can't wait for that to come out. Cause I may be in the back of one of the videos. So
there you go.
You need to look for an E2C. I'm way back, like up in the stands. Yeah, and I'm sure they're using some probably background fading, but kind of I like purposely just stood there like a statue, like see if anybody could see me on that. So please be looking.
That's some good product placement by you.
It's almost like it was intentional. Maybe I don't know.
That's a pretty good idea right there.
But essentially, this to me just felt like a regular game. I found it interesting that they didn't have to go through that this time. That they didn't have to like walk through that. But I guess. I mean, this is second year, and the majority of these guys have been through it, and so I guess they're relying a lot. Coach Harsin talks about this a lot in his press conferences about upperclassmen teaching, or or he calls it peer teaching, I think is what he called. He expects peer coaching, those that have been here before, to assist in the coaching process. And that goes from the playbook, what you're supposed to do throughout the week, all those different things. So I guess that's really where it lines up. Things that I saw from the open practice, the news today indicates exactly what we saw.
Yeah.
TJ's the starter. Calzada is either still not completely healthy or is just that far behind in the process that he couldn't win it out. And here's the reality I think a lot of people need to wrestle with. He may not be the guy, folks.
Yeah.
It may be as simple as that. He may not be the guy. This is what happens when stupid content creators go out on a YouTube channel and predict way too early who's going to be the starting quarterback. Kyle, I purposely did that though. So did you honestly think that we were going to get any other result from that open practice other than TJ or maybe Robbie?
No. I really thought it was going to be TJ before yesterday. And then, like you said, and you told me and other people told me, everything anyone else saw yesterday pretty much confirmed it. But the way it sounds like, and whether it's due to injury or due to just, like you said, performance, he might not be the guy. It's 1, 2, 3, TJ, Robbie, Zach. So, I wasn't that surprised, especially after performances yesterday, and kind of everyone got to see what they've been seeing, a little glimpse of it at least.
I did a post practice live stream too. So if you want to hear some more detailed thoughts about my opinions about that, just kind of raw reaction video after that, I talked a lot about that. That's probably the two biggest takeaways: is who is going to be the starting quarterback, confirmed now, confirmed QB1, and then the wide receiver drops. We went through a fall practice where it just seems like that was the big news, that they've improved. We're seeing a lot of these young guys rising up. And then, a guy like Camden Brown had several drops in the practice. And I'm not talking like they had to stretch out and they missed it, even if they got their hands on. I'm talking about in the chest kind of thing.
Numbers. Ouch.
It's those are the things that TJ Finley doesn't have me worried. The
That's
holistic
right.
process.
Yep.
has me worried. So how does that make you feel? Maybe kind of round out our discussion on the open practice this weekend when you hear some of those things.
Not great. It sounds a lot like we're going to be having some deja vu with the line and with receivers, and nobody wants to hear it. I don't want to talk about it. But if things haven't improved from a year later, when it was a very obvious, everyone was like, "Hey, this happens every week. Hey, position coaches were fired for it." If we're continuing to bring those things up year after year, it's not going to be good. And so, that's unfortunate to hear. And hopefully the only thing you can really hope for is once the lights turn on and once game helmets are on and ready to go, that those things don't happen. But if you don't practice what you do on the field, it's probably not going to be great.
Oh my goodness. I mean, you sound like Coach Harsin already, buddy. Just
repeating. I'm ready for his pressers. I know you and I are both big believers in listening to the press conferences, and Coach Brian Harsin will talk to you. My goodness, the man will talk to you.
Listen, you're looking at two guys that were huge Gus Malzahn fans, but it frustrated us also to no end that he would never say anything at the press conferences.
Yeah. I've got a friend who just, like, when there's an ankle injury, to the point where Coach Malzahn would just say, "Oh, he's got an ankle." Well, we know he's got an ankle, but
Coach, give me something.
And then you've got Brian Harsin, who might explain to you the MCL, LCL, everything you got going on in the knee. But different aspects, but I appreciate both.
And he might take a shot at the media while he does it as well.
That's right. Yeah. I'm excited for his press conferences to be back, though, and hopefully he's got some good things to talk about.
He does, absolutely. Let's move into segment number 3 on the inaugural episode of the Auburn Experience. And this is going to be one of those things, again, I know this is maybe the part, especially those that you watch live might tune out. I encourage you not to. Try to embrace all aspects of it, because we want to kind of have a well-rounded experience. And this might even help you on your game day experience and what you get to go. Because here's Austin. Here's the problem that I have. There's some great places to eat around Auburn. The problem is the ones that are good close to campus are always packed on game day.
Always.
The ones that are still good outside of that are pretty far away, and parking's already a nightmare as it is. So once you got to go name it and claim it in your spot is what I'm talking about. If I want to use that reference, go grab that spot. I may or may not have slept in my car one time just to maintain a spot because people are that vicious. Listen, did I ever tell you this? The story about the person at the Iron Bowl last year that tried to steal my spot that I've been saving for like 2 days?
Yes, I remember that.
Essentially, it was an Auburn fan and just tried to like act like they didn't move my chair out of the way, and then came and yelled at us for moving my chair back into the spot. It was anyway. That's neither here nor there. It's not a story that's really worth sharing here. Just frustrating that you have to deal with that. Back to the topic of hand. One of the things that Auburn has really needed, not just for game days, but just in general, is have one of these new additions to your eating repertoire that you can have around there to really help with the influx of students, fans, people visiting. And that sounds like I'm going to let Austin kind of take the lead on this one, describe what this is, because you actually got a chance to go check it out. It's something that's brand new and opened.
That's right. Yeah. So like I mentioned earlier, for those that don't know, my wife and I live in Auburn. Very happy Auburn resident.
Rub it in. Just rub it in.
Just going to continue to rub it in until I can get Kyle down here officially to enjoy these experiences with me. And then we can all provide the Auburn experience firsthand every single day. Anyway.
It's like synergy here in episode 1. My goodness.
Anyway, but for real though, that is a thing where I feel like this might be good for our podcast here, is that I'm here, and a lot of you, we always ask where people are from on live streams. A lot of people are not from Auburn and might only come to campus for, game days or anything like that. So a lot happens throughout the year. And that's one thing my wife and I really like to keep up with, is construction and changes and what all is coming to Auburn. One of the newest things that a lot of people have been talking about lately is the new Tony and Liberaine Center that is over next to the University Hotel. And if you can visualize with me, we've got the intersection of College and, why am I blanking on it? Is that
Thatch? Is it Thatch?
That's what I was going to say. College and Thatch. So you've got the chapel on one corner, Sanford Hall on one corner, the library on the other, and now there's been the parking lot for the University Hotel. Now they have constructed a really big building there that is for culinary and hotel management students. But inside the bottom of it is a new food court that's called the Heyday Market. And I am a really
awesome
big
name
guy. An incredible name. Hats off to the people who came up with that. The Heyday Market has let me try and think. I think it was 6 or 7 new restaurants in it. And it's very, envision a food court where you get your options.
So we're talking like mall. We're talking like,
mall,
the Auburn
airport, mall. Just stuff like that. Yeah.
Is it more mall or airport?
Mall. Mall. No. Yeah, mall. It's nicer than the airport.
I know that maybe sounds like we're maybe degrading what's there, because we're not trying to make fun of its food court, but I'm just trying to put in perspective for folks, because to me, a food court for an airport is a very different thing for a mall situation.
No,
most places.
It's more of, I don't know. I think it's more closer to a mall, just because I feel like an airport, it's way more wide open. This is all kind of centralized. But okay. It was really good. They've got a pizza place that's not open yet. They have a noodle place, tacos, burgers. There was a Cuban sandwich place. They got different kind of Cuban.
Oh, that sounds really good.
It was really good. And we had the burger place. That was kind of the one that was moving the most. It was very busy. Everybody was checking it new out. But I say that, and then everything moved pretty quickly. Once you got your food, people sat down, ate. A really great outdoor seating area. But yeah, it was really neat. There's a lot of students in there. They can use their dining dollars in there. It was really cool, and something I think a place like Auburn and a city like Auburn has been lacking and really needed. So yeah, I'm really interested to see how well it does and how well it does on game day. I think it was great. They got it open here with a week and a half to go before
it's
game
almost
day.
Like they planned it.
Kinks. Some smart people over there. But yeah, really good. And I'm really interested to see what others think of it, because I think as things kind of move in and out of there, I don't know if everything there right now will always be there, but I think it'd be a really good option for them to kind of move certain things in and out. But just a really cool place and a really cool idea of that whole area with the culinary school. Someone once told me, I tell everyone this, and then I never actually go follow up and find out if it was right or not. But someone once told me that this was the first graduate culinary school in the state. And I think that's really cool if that's the case.
Even in Birmingham?
Even in Birmingham.
Because I would
I'm
think
telling
that's
you,
where it would be.
I agree. And I'm telling, now that I have all these people listening and you listening, now I'll be able to actually get some accountability on finding out if this is true or not. But someone, which I could have done for myself numerous other times, I've told people this.
How dare you not be prepared for an inaugural podcast?
That's just me. But I think it's super cool. I love the idea of, giving kids hands-on experience for this. And it gives me good food and others good food in the process. And that feels like a big win-win. So
really
check it out this week. That's right. Let us know what you think of it. Like I said, I had the burger place, which I don't remember the name of, but it was so good. And yeah, I'll be making returns until I try them all in there. They had gelato in there too. That was the other place.
What? No.
They have a gelato place, and Emily got a blueberry, what was it? Blueberry passion fruit sorbet that was fantastic. That place was busy too, and it will be next weekend. I guarantee that.
Let me just tell you, if you're not lying to me, that's what gets Jessica down there, because Buc-ee's is coming to Auburn, folks. If you didn't know what Buc-ee's is, and that's another podcast for another day.
We will definitely do that one day.
Buc-ee's, I think Buc-ee's is a little overhyped, but I still admit that Buc-ee's is cool, and that's going to be a much needed thing for Auburn. That's what's going to get Jessica, my wife, to Auburn. A gelato place, that's check box number 2. I just got to figure out what number 3 is, and maybe we can get us all down there together. Gelato place.
It was big. It was big. All right, my sister-in-law got a lemon that was really good. It was big. That place had a line very far. And you know what? Now that I'm thinking of it, Kyle, this is very relevant to this right now, and I'm not joking. We were sitting there looking for a table to eat. And I'm like, what is this random room right here that has 2 chairs in it? And there's a podcast studio in the middle of this Heyday Market room. Big room with multiple vendors. And there is a maybe 7 foot by 7 foot room with 2 mics and a big chair. And it says, please do not enter the podcast studio after hours or something like that.
So you could just go in there and record a podcast. Is that what it sounds like?
Yes. It looked like a soundproof room. Really
what are
nice
we doing here, Austin?
I'm telling you, we could have our gelato and burgers and giving people a live look into the Heyday Market from the Heyday Market. This is something we need to talk about.
Brainstorming happening live. Okay, well, it looks like on top of the very busy schedule that I will have, being on campus for game 1, now I've got to make a point to get over to Heyday Market. Check it out first place. But now that there's a podcast studio there, they'll probably look at me like, who are you? But don't you know me? I've been doing this for 8 years.
Well, you'll just tell them, have you not heard there has only been one podcast done about the Heyday Market, and it was ours. And so you need to let us use that room to talk more about the Heyday Market with gelato, please.
I hope that's the case, but somehow I feel like there was at least one podcast out there that talked about it. That's awesome, though. Yeah, I'm excited to go try it out.
Yeah, it was awesome. It's going to be a great addition, and I can't imagine how much food they're going to crank out here in the next few days.
Well, I think that's how we're going to leave you all today, hungry for gelato, for a pizza place that's not there yet, for a Cuban sandwich, noodles, everything that you could want. You've got a new dining option at Auburn that, and listen, that's not taken away from my mama's love at that dingy old place that I have to go eat at, because it's just not the same unless it's there. That's not taking anything away from Niffers down, in Opelika Road. That's not taking anything away from, I've never been to Hamilton's. I've heard it's great, but there's tons of other places, but this is the new thing. And so that's why we wanted to talk about it a little bit. And so now I might have to go try it and give you my own review. Maybe not the next episode, but one's down the line, so we can cover that particular topic.
Yeah. So, well, if anything else, it'll help spread people out. And so if people are just hard set on their favorite spaces, maybe you need to tell those people, hey, have you tried the Heyday Market? We'll go down there so I can have my mama's love.
Exactly, because it's it doesn't move fast in there right now at all, just because of the amount of people. It has nothing to do with the level of commitment of the workers or anything like that. It's just that's the amount of people that are always there. It is rare that I walk in there now and wait less than 10 minutes for just to put my order in, because it's your mama's love, so that's why you love it.
Gotta have it.
I think that's going to do it for our inaugural podcast episode for the Auburn Experience. As we said, a holistic look at being part of the Auburn family, sports and everything in between. And we hope to continue this. Our goal is to do a weekly one. We hope that you guys will bear with us as we kind of figure this thing out, work on it, make it better. And if you had feedback for us, things you'd like to hear more about, special topics, this is what this is about. The E2C Network is about you, the Auburn family, and what you want to hear, what you want to talk about. So do not hesitate. You can hit me up on social media at Kyle Loomis 24 on Twitter, or the at E2C Network Twitter handle, Facebook, Instagram. We're on TikTok. I'm there. I promise. I'm doing things that's not going well. Where can they find you, Austin?
I'm anywhere. You can find me, Austin G. Scott, just about on every social media platform. I've thankfully commandeered that on just about everything, I think, at this point. So come find me. Let me know if there's I don't have the money for that. Let me know if there's let us know if there's something we want to talk about, something we can figure out what's going on around town, around campus you've heard about and want to hear more of. And I think we nailed our first one, Kyle. We'll see how the response is, but we put together a product.
That we did. Was it a good one? We'll find out somewhere down the line if it was a good one or not. Thank you all for listening here to the Auburn Experience, and we appreciate you being part of our little family within the Auburn family, the E2C Network family. War Eagle.
War Eagle.
And that is a wrap, folks, on episode 1. Thank y'all so much for being here. I'm not going anywhere. I'll stay on for a few minutes if you'd like to have a little interaction, just a time to say hello. Austin is free to go whenever he needs to. There's no pressure, sir, but you are more than welcome to stay if you'd like to. You and I have talked about this previously, but I have a little bit more freedom than you do. So
I'm going to go pick up some groceries, but
from Heyday Market.
They do not have groceries that I know of. I am going to go pick up some groceries, but I will definitely hang around next time. So,
all right.
This was fun. I hope everyone in the chat enjoyed it. I know that this was a little different than what we're used to. And we'll definitely have to do a time where I'm back and we do the chat, and because I like interacting with our friends.
And yeah, like we said, we'll probably from time to time, if we really see something good in there, we'll probably bring it up or something like that. It's just one of those things we want to make sure we're focused and kind of doing that, because it can get crazy in that chat, as y'all saw today. So, Austin, thank you for joining us.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. All right, everybody, have a great start of the week. Listen to the press conference, and War Eagle.
All right, War Eagle to you, Austin. You all stick around with me, though. We're not going anywhere, just for a few minutes here. I'd love to, if you have anything that you'd like to talk about from that recording, we can most certainly do that. There's no scheduled time limit I have. I know it is a little on the later side for those of you in the Eastern time zone, and maybe not as late. And it depends on how late, if you're a night owl or stuff like that. Just kind of some comments from the episode. Virginia College of Birmingham had Culinard. Is that how you say that? Back in the day. Yeah, that may be the only one that I've heard of at this point. David Buster, have we seen you before, David Buster? And that is not, I hope that's not a playoff of the War Dustbuster situation that we had here. Kevlar, this just kind of hitting some of these comments during it. Kevlar said, Malzahn said once Bo Nix will win a championship before he leaves here. I hope it isn't at Oregon. Well, he's already left here, and that was what his comment was about. So that obviously wasn't true. I think it's interesting, the dynamic that's going to happen with this Bo Nix situation. And don't lie, and some of you that are watching are part of this too. There's some of y'all that want to see him burn and fail miserably, but that means you're rooting for Georgia. I hope we all are very, very much wanting Bo to win this game. And even if that results in him having more success than he had with us, so be it, because that means Georgia loses, and then somebody that is part of the Auburn family gets an opportunity to do that. I think he probably, Kevlar wore that Eagle shirt for you on purpose, because he knows people really, really latch on to that thing. All right. I think we've caught up with the ones that happened during there. Let's see. Corey said, Kyle, I'll be at the San Jose State game. Corey, I will be honest with you about this. So I've been talking with you guys a lot about what my schedule is going to be this season. Typically, my rule of thumb is I am at every single home game, barring other circumstances. I started out saying that San Jose State probably wouldn't happen. There was a chance that it was going to happen. So I kind of started talking like that, and it looks like now I may not be there at all. I will say, don't ever rule it out. But unfortunately, Corey, if we were hoping to finally put a face to face interaction there, it won't happen. It looks like at this point. Benjamin, you confuse me. I don't know if you're making fun of Bama fans. You have some interesting comments on streams. So I hope that you're making fun of some of the Bama fans that are having fun with us and our misery that seems to happen on social media right now. But I will be there this weekend, back to what Corey was talking about, just kind of when he was going to be there. I'm active on social media throughout the weekend. I will be in Auburn. The plan is to be there around lunchtime. I'm going to do something with the locker room tours. What else I get into, I don't know. Just stay tuned to social media. I love you too. All that kind of stuff. And then throughout the day, the best way I always tell people, Twitter and Instagram stories is probably the most up-to-date way. And then I'll share things on Facebook and Instagram as they kind of appropriate. It's kind of a different format. And Tiger Walk live stream, as long as the Wi-Fi holds up, post-game live stream, as long as the Wi-Fi holds up, and no matter how late that is. And then I also plan to be at soccer Sunday, probably coming in late. So I'll probably be sharing some images and things like that. It won't necessarily be kind of covering the game, but we'll want to stop in there. So you'll get a wide range of stuff from myself, from the E2C Network. If you're following us on social media, if you're listening, the podcast, all that kind of stuff, it is plenty for you to have and to experience here on the Auburn Experience show. All right, we're going to wrap it up there. Thank y'all so much. I hope that y'all enjoy this. Always open to feedback about anything that we do here, but especially this brand new show. And I hope you guys here on YouTube feel a little special getting the interaction before and afterward. You can go back and listen to the podcast. Share. That's a big thing. If you guys can help us with that, share it with a friend out there that we have podcasts, and to download E2C Network, or you can say Auburn Podcast by E2C Network. It's got this, going to have this show, No Huddle, which is with AJ and Ben about Auburn football. You've got Auburn Elvis probably with Auburn Equestrian, my wife and I with Auburn Track and Field, Chandler and Jace with Auburn basketball, and then hopefully Auburn Roots will be coming back soon. So there is a wide plethora of Auburn content that you can, lots of it Auburn sports, that you can take part of. But this is what we want to be our banner show, our flagship show for the E2C Network that kind of bridges everything. And hopefully you guys feel special by the way we do this here on YouTube. Thank y'all so much. Smash that like button on the way out. War Eagle to you. Looking forward to football season. And I will talk to you guys very, very, very soon.